One of my least favorite things about working on cars is strip, damage, broken bolts. You take something that has a scope of an hour and now you've got a scope creep to an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever. Things can be real stubborn, so any little trick or thing that I can do to learn to get out stripped nuts, bolts, whatever, I'm all ears. So here's a little trick that I use, hammer and a chisel to get a particular stuck nut out. So what we've got here is we've got a stripped out nut, and I usually don't strip nuts so I don't get as much practice these days, but the long and the short of it is I had a 12mm ratcheting box wrench, gear wrench. So I had it back up in here, and the problem is because it's got such a wide wall right here, it didn't grip it real good. And normally these are plenty enough to get on it and crack it loose, but whoever did this timing belt was done 20,000 miles ago, and they really cranked these things on there. I mean, they were pretty paranoid. They must have had one fall off at some point. So rather than going for my box wrench, my skinny one to begin with, this is my skinny one. I had another box wrench I tried with. This one, you can see on one side, you've got a little bit of a bevel. And what that bevel does is it helps you to be able to get onto the nut quickly, but that eats up some of the space. That's all the meat that I had to work with left on this. And rather than going straight to this one that's been shaved down flat that can really grip it, I was talking to the guy at the time. I was a little distracted and I was like, it'll work. So tried it with the other wrench, and needless to say, it stripped it out the rest of the way. That nut is so stinking tight. So that's better. So long story short, the next thing I tried to do is I thought I had some pretty good access, so I got some vice grips, and look at how stripped it got. It just got really stripped. It was just bad news. So basically what you do is you take a chisel, make sure it's good and sharp. You can see it's got a little bit of a slope to it. It slopes this way. So you want to turn it this way so that it digs in, so it doesn't slide off into the fan clutch. You want it this way so it goes that way into the nut. So you get in there with your chisel and your hammer. And this is the same way that I do on fan clutches if I can't get them to come loose. Is you just get in there and you just start tapping it. You go straight into it at first, hit your mark on it, and then once your mark's there, then you hit it this way. And just keep hitting right on the rim of it. It went a little bit. And it's your harder hits that count. So I'm going to have to reset this one, so I'll grab my wrench for the tensioner. Get the belt loose, spin it back, get a little more room. We'll go some more. So I'm trying to get bit down into it so I've got something to hold on to, and then I angle it back and it'll either slip off or it'll give. One good hit's worth 20 little hits. So I use 20 little hits to get my mark and then one good hit to turn it. Hopefully I can get this one to go on camera. May or may not. There we go. So anyway, once you get it to go a little bit, then you can go back in with your gear wrench or whatever you want, and that one probably just go by hand. It's just so stinking stuck. You just have to have that impact force to get it started. And this one's just so chewed up, it's not having it even now. So what we'll do is we'll take a pry bar, go in behind the pulley, hold the pulley, we'll twist the pry bar, that helps. That was one stripped out nut. Give you all a look at this here in just a second. So I'm almost out. It'll fall clear to the ground, but another thing you want to do is have like a little magnet tool. Stick it in the fins of the fan clutch and just put it, say you're more to this side and you put the magnet on this side, you know, from top it'll go left side down, right side, you get the idea. So you put it on the downhill side of where it is, just float that magnet, don't have it in next to it, it'll just keep getting stuck and it'll just drop right to where your magnet is. When you look at the nut from the back side, you can see where I got into the rim and just really broke up where it was stuck. You can see there's a line almost all the way in there where it bent. And that bending causes the rest of the nut to let go so that it's not bound. It don't have as much surface area dragging. So you can see where I chiseled the most on that top side there. Anyway, that's how you get a nut out. Now I've got damaged nut sockets. I've got all these different tools to where you can get onto it from the top if you have access. But if you don't have access and it's just sideways because it's stuck between, about the only thing you can do is a hammer and chisel. Thought about welding something on it, you know, just stick a bar in there and then weld it, turn the whole thing over, weld the other side, use the other nuts or whatever to get back over and then crack it loose. But then you got to cut the bar off and it's a big mess. You might as well just use a chisel. Anyway, this is a helpful trick. If you really need it, then you really need it. So if you enjoy watching this video, I've got a bunch of other tips and tricks videos in this playlist, and then I've got a bunch of other tips and tricks, as I mentioned, like the fan clutch chisel hammer tool to get the fan clutch off. I've got those and a bunch of other videos that are just full of good information. Thanks for watching. Not the best tripod or most expensive tripod, but it worked okay. A little bit swingy. Got all kinds of specialty tools. Apparently I leave them in the open position because I'm wanting to get stuff done quick. So I've got all these and they can go from the back side and they actually work really well. Somebody at the shop borrowed one and broke it in half. One of the joys of working in a repair shop. But I've got kit after kit. If there's a tool made for pulling out these bolts, here's one where you can fit it in a tight spot and then turn it with a wrench. But sometimes it's too tight a spot, and that's the example I'm going to show you. I've got reversed drill bits, I've got reverse drill bits and easy outs, I've got damaged, you know, big old lug nut and stuff type sockets where you just get to just about anything. More left-hand drill bits for snap-on, more easy outs, just you name it. I've got the kit to prove that I don't mess around. So anyway, this one's a fun one. Looks like this by the time we get it all the way out. You can see I'll hold that up to the light. So anyway, it was a little bit tough. I'll show you how I did it.